So much of our Yamim Noraim experience, even when we leave yeshiva, I never left yeshiva, but I left for a couple years, so much of it was animated and infused by the golden moments, those moments we spent in that room, in that base madrash. I remember before there was an air conditioner, and then Baruch Hashem, how hot it was, and now Baruch Hashem, there is an air conditioner. And so much of those experiences were shaped by our Rosh Yeshiva, and davening together with them, and listening to their nigunim, and we still feel their presence, and especially Rav Amital and his tefillos, and we all remember those moments where we heard his voice and those signature moments of the tefillah. But a lot of the experience was also shaped by the Sichot. And Rav Amital would very often, not every year, but pretty often, in fact, would quote a medrash during his Ne'ilah Sicha that to me was revolutionary. It changed my it didn't just give me an added voice or an added perspective, an added vantage point. It literally re-landscaped the entire Ne'ilah experience, which of course is the climax, in ways that revolutionary is an understatement. So let me describe the struggle I had with Tfilas Ne'ilah until I heard Rav Amital's inversion and re-engineering, and until I understood the impact, because you could hear the Sicha but not understand its magnitude. I felt that Ne'ilah, growing up as a young adult, even when I was in yeshiva, it was very incongruous, because it was dissonant, because my entire Yom Kippur, 23 hours, 24 hours, I imagine HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Yoshev al Kisei Rachamim, Av HaRachamim, Yoshev Tehilos Yisrael, Kiada, Baal HaRachim, Tav HaRachim, Baal HaSlichos. He's merciful, Hashem, Kil Racham V'chanun. He's Melech HaMishpat. He's Zocher Bris. All these endearing terms in which HaKadosh Baruch Hu is cast as merciful and compassionate and has pity and kind. And then there's a quick stop, and it's Ne'ilah, and the gates of Shemayim are closing. Excuse me. And you have to rush your tefillah in before the gates close. Rabbanu Shalom, if you're so merciful, keep the gates open a little longer. What, Hashem's closing the gates? All of a sudden, we're doing my tefillos. But there's a deadline. It'd be like L'havdil. If I give a share, I'm so kind and I'm so sweet to the boys, and then they end the share, by the way, no questions, because I have to end right now. It's not the way that you would give share. You say, okay, I apologize. I have to end share right now. We have to have lunch. Save your question for later. And it felt almost brutal. That, the gates are closing, and I have 30 minutes left to get my best tefillos up to Shemayim. And if I'm 1 minute past Yom Kippur, Hashem won't take that tefillah. If I'm not able to generate the tefillah, and why would Hashem close the gate? And why would that be the imagery that Hashem is closing the gates of Shemayim, or the gates of Shemayim are closing? Hashem is really Baal HaRachim. Keep the gates open, or at least give me some time to. And Rav Amital inverted the whole process. How did he invert the process? He inverted the process by quoting a medrash based on the pasuk in Shir and Parakeh. So like everything Shir, before you understand the metaphor, you have to understand the literary meaning, and the literary meaning feeds the metaphor. Kol dodi dofek. The man comes knocking on the door. Pischali achosi rayasi yonasi tamasi. Please open the door for me. Excuse me. What's the response of the woman? So in the beginning, it's very, very underwhelming, very unimpressive. She's lazy. She's too tired. I'm ready in my pajamas. I don't want to get up and put my clothes on and answer the door. I've already cleaned my legs and my body. I'm going to get dirty and dusty. And then she shifts and she finally gets up after a lot of delay and a lot of hesitation. I finally got up to answer the door. V'yadai natfu more, and my hands were already fragranced by perfume, probably her perfume, but she's excited now. Ve'etzbotai more over, and my fingers even have perfume. Al Kapot HaMan'ul, and I hold the lock of the door, and Dodicha Makavar. Next pasuk is too little, too late. Excuse me. So there really are two tragedies in this response. One is the initial laziness, the initial hesitation. Two is she finally gets up, and then it's too little, too late. She tries, but it's a little too little, and certainly too late. And Chazal read in that this is probably referring up Medrash to Ezra, and the underwhelming response of the Jews from Persia to return with Ezra. Only 42,000, 44,000 returned with Ezra. Most of them were too comfortable in Persia. When they did come back, it was too little, too late. This is probably one of the most riveting, vivid, and emotional moments in all of Shir Shirim, whether you're reading it as a story between a man and a woman, or you're reading it, which is the way it's meant to be understood in addition, on top of that, as a relationship between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Am Yisrael, potential unfulfilled. What could have been? Had we returned in the Beis HaMikdash, had we opened the door for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and of course Rabbi Soloveitchik wrote a sefer called Kol Dodi Dofek, in which more or less we're living through that experience again, where Hashem is offering us historical opportunity, and how are we responding to that historical opportunity? Okay. The Medrash, that can't be found anywhere. It's only quoted by the Rabbeinu Bachaya in Karakemach. It's interesting, it's not quoted, but there was a Medrash that Rabbeinu Bachaya had that sense that this was a metaphor for Yom Kippur. If you parse that final sentence, you can parse it into 5. Kamteni liftoch l'dodi, she gets up. Yadai natfu mor, her fingers are full of fragrance. Etzbosai morover, actually 4. Etzbosai morover, al kapot HaMan'ul. You can parse it into 4. According to the Medrash, these 4 things, getting up, having aroma on your hands, and then aroma on your fingers, and then finally holding the knob of the door, the lock of the door, the Medrash says as follows. This is Rabbeinu Bachaya in the Karakemach. Says as follows. It's in Erech Kippurim, in the section of Kippurim, because I've recommended people reading this Medrash. Kamti ani liftoach lidodi ze yotzer. This is Shachris. First of the 4 tefillos of the day. There are 5 tefillos in Yom Kippur, but only 4 during the day. So that's Shachris. Yadai natfu mor. My hands are full of fragrance. Zu musaf. Etzbosai morover. My fingers are fragrant. Zu mincha. Al kapos HaMan'ul. I'm now turning the lock. Zu ne'ilah. Man'ul, lock of the door, is ne'ilah. So now this pasuk about a man and his wife, or a man and they're not married, or are they married or they're not married, but let's say a man and his wife, which has one layer that is historical, namely Am Yisrael and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is now seen as a framing for our experience in Yom Kippur. That we are trying to answer the door knock, or the knock on the door of the man. Who's the man? The man is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who wants to get in. Who's the woman? The woman is either Am Yisrael or each member of Am Yisrael, namely you. And this process of getting up and trying to open the door reaches its climax, its greatest drama, when you hold the door and you hold the lock during Ne'ilah, which completely changes Ne'ilah. It changes the playing field of Ne'ilah. Ne'ilah, the drama of Ne'ilah is not up there in Shemayim and the gates of heaven. The drama of Ne'ilah takes place at a very different set of gates. The only gate that Hashem has to try to get in, and he can't get in without us opening it for him. Which gate is that? Hashem is Molech L'Aretz Kavod. Hashem can be anywhere he wants. The answer is, as Rav Amital said, the gates of your heart. Hashem is trying to get in, as the male is trying to get in Shir Shirim, the man, and we don't always open it. And now it's Yom Kippur, we're trying to open, and each successive tefillah, we're getting closer to the door. Shacharis, we get up, our fingers are full of aroma, we put on perfume, and now it's Ne'ilah. Hashem is trying to get in. And the drama is, will you turn the lock in time, and will you let Hashem in? So it's not about Hashem in Shemayim closing the gates of heaven and us trying to pry them open one last time so that our final tefillas can come through. That would be completely inconsistent with how we view HaKadosh Baruch Hu on this day of Rachamim and Slichos. That's not where it's taking place. It's taking place, and Shir Shirim inverts it. It's not like our tefillas are trying to get through the gates. Hashem, the man who's knocking, is trying to get through our gates, trying to get into our heart. When Hashem gives us Bechira Chavshis, he abandons our heart. Namely, he allows our heart to be that one precinct in all of reality that he can't enter without us allowing him in, because that's called free will. And we can decide to let him in, we can decide not to let him in. And all of Yom Kippur is not only based on tshuva and kapar and slicha, but it's for that encounter with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And he wants that encounter just as much as we do. All of Shir Shirim is bilateral, all of Shir Shirim is symbiotic. So Hashem wants us to succeed on Yom Kippur, the same way we want to succeed on Yom Kippur. We die, Aseh leman shemecha, Aseh lemancha, lo lo'anenu. Hashem has skin in the game, as it has stakes in Yom Kippur, because he wants that reunion and that rendezvous to take place. But he can't control the Sharei Liba. He can't control the gates of a person's heart. You have to open it. And in Shir Shirim, we are the woman, whether collectively as Am Yisrael or individually, and we're trying to open the gates. So all of a sudden, my thoughts during the Ilah are not about cruel gatekeepers in heaven kicking aside my tefillos because they've expired and they're too late. The drama, the gates are in here. How can I open my heart? I fasted. It's 23 hours into the fast. Hopefully I've made some traction. I've gained some traction. I see things differently. Can I really pry that heart open in an honest way? A lot of Kodesh Baruch Hu. And can I be kamteni leftach l'dodi without the next pasuk, which the Medrash doesn't quote, v'dodi chamakavar, that he runs away and it's too late. It's a complete revolution because it changes the altitude, it changes the drama, and it changes the tone of Ne'ilah. I always say, it's so difficult. Why am I forced to be begging for tefillos? There's a deadline that doesn't feel like Baal Rachamim. No, Kodesh Baruch Hu is trying to enter a place and you are holding the keys. And Pislu Shiarim, V'Abu Gait Sadik, Yishar Mashechem, you're trying to open up those gates and meet a Kodesh Baruch Hu. And that's how Rav Amital changed my entire tefillas Ne'ilah. Everyone should be nichta v'nimsar, v'nichta v'nechtam, b'sifran shel tzadikim l'chaim tovim u'l'shalom, and all of our people who need it should have refuah and nechama.